All right. Hey. Can you tell we are,
gearing to go?
we're ready for part 5, DLA Reversul Uf Fortunes. We just did this once and it was difficult, and it's one of those parts that we have
Are we revealing to
lingering
the audience that we did a dress rehearsal?
We did a dress rehearsal this time around. We got a little big in our britches last time. Oh, we only needed one take. We didn't fight. But this one is more triggering for both of us. So, it's bringing up things that we haven't talked about enough that we need to talk about before we can come and do a full video on the topic without getting a little crazy, So we're gonna try it again. What did we talk about last strong?
We talked about relational costs and prices, as was represented within Act 3 of our timeline, which is all up in this head of
I'm
yours.
making it weird.
Changes every strong, but
there's 4 acts in our DLA Reversul Uf Fortunes.
What are the
timeline.
4 acts?
The first act is when we were first paired together. You were my commanding officer. I was your direct report. The beginning of my time here in this army.
Okay, what was Act 2?
Act 2 was the beginning of the breakdown of that relationship where we were back with Wiko after being alone, and they were kind of witnessing what dynamics we had fostered together and what it was like, and it was toxic AF, basically, and personal and professional, mixed and muddied.
Mm-hmm.
And then Act 3 was you leaving physically to go off on your own, and a new contract being written up.
The actual reversal of fortunes.
The actual reversal taking place where I became your CO officially, and we were being apart, having our manager and managee relationship. We were broken up. And then Act 4 is us coming back together from all that we'd learned, and me managing you IRL, up close and personal, and our personal life resuming, our personal relationship resuming.
Yeah, she loved
after
me.
all that.
She asked me out, you wanna be my girlfriend?
So, was it a mistake? I wonder that sometimes.
Answer in the chat.
Comment below.
She wonders. What? You could end it right now on this live. We could go.
It's not
there.
alive, unfortunately. So
we could end it on this
the
video.
Wow
we could
factors,
choose later.
surprise factors.
We could choose later as whether to upload
which
it.
Which version are we gonna upload? So yeah, this is
We didn't get married. I don't think you made any oaths.
We did not get married.
So was it
There's
a mistake?
no.
Let's unpack that.
The only thing,
right now.
Rings were lost rather than found.
That wasn't back in Act 1.
That was back in Act 2. 1 to 2.
The acts change every time.
They really kind of do it in my head, but when I think about it, no, they're delineated when I get back to brass tacks. Okay, so we talked about the social economy. We talked about how we do it here, the triggers around having prices and costs, and hammering all those details out in professional and personal relationships, which is what we're learning here, And we also talked about the literal Act 2 reversal that was happening, where how I delivered your new contract in a messy way,
we talked about that last time,
and we did.
Nice.
But this time around, we're talking about something that just happened, so it's fresher. The wounds are fresh. That's how I'll put it. Where we recreated a pattern that we like to recreate here between the two of us, where the contracts of our renewal of our DLA service were set to be up according to that last contract we got.
This strong,
right now. And what I delivered to this guy now over strong ago was a letter, a memo, and the difference between those is still muddy to me, which is a problem because you should know if you're sending out a memo or a letter and what the difference is. I feel like a letter is a little more personal, and a memo is just like, beep, beep, like an update.
Right. Was this a letter or a memo?
I feel like this was a letter.
Oh, it was, not a memo?
Because I think it had a sincerely, we won't get too into it.
You wrote it. You signed it.
Exactly.
Your signature.
So I delivered this letter or memo, clearly not processing it entirely, to not even know exactly what it would be called. But to him, at a crazy time of night, I delivered it past working hours, thinking in my bird brain that he would not read it until the morning and I would have a chance to announce it and say, there's a letter for you in your email, why don't you open it? And instead it was just middle of the night, opening it in bed after work hours. And do you want to, how should we do this?
The letter basically said that I had one more year on my contract from what my previous contract had stated. It was basically we made a clerical error, and basically your contract is up a year from now, not a week from now.
So moral of the story, overall info is that he thought he had a year
I was told I got a year.
And he has one year more before either he can leave having completed his contract, get and be offered a new contract, or be not offered a contract and given a graceful or whatever. We won't go into the options, but that's where we were at. I delivered it by under communicating and being crazy around the timing, and kind of just dropping something like that in his lap, expecting in my head way different outcomes than were actually what happened. And this is exactly how it happened the last time, though it was way even probably more dramatic last time. So that's how I delivered it and how it went down in terms of out of nowhere and kind of just out of left field and at the wrong time. How did you take that delivery? How did you react to that information?
I probably I over communicated in receiving it. I was very upset by the letter. I was very upset by the information that was contained in the letter and the implications of it. And I was emotionally unsober around receiving that information.
Yeah, and you definitely, put all that emotion onto me in the middle of the night. And you know what? I delivered it in the middle of the night. Fight fire with fire, But, so that whole thing happened, but we have, these people are crazy. We have these things that happen, this stuff that we might describe as garbage shit to how we experience it or whatever. But then there's always something that we gain from the experience, right? There's always something we learn. So what was something that we learned from this experience?
Well, we learned what our actual contract terms were. I don't know if she's actually learned that.
This is the thing that's
she doesn't
crazy.
Really pay attention
in
to
terms
those
of
details.
how
those aren't that important.
We talked about even last strong, we talked about how I kind of dissociate and have problems around certain things, and we're very different in some ways, but he will know the detail of a contract and be so upset because the detail changed or it was a mistake or something that issue. Me, I will look up my contract 7 times and think I got it straight, and every time it just goes out one ear after I've gotten it straight. I don't know what kind of level of dissociation that is and why it happens exactly. Probably because I have triggers around time. It's in terms of who, what, where, when, the when is always what trips me up and where I have issues. So but I also didn't get upset at all when I was oh, there was a mistake, because I think there was the same mistake of that you had a year longer than you thought. I think that I thought we both had our contracts end at the same time, but it turns out I have like a little bit more after you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing I kind of like didn't pay attention to with this. And I think that like through the process of like that miscommunication or that like clash from an undercommunication and a dissociation, like lack of feeling and like way too much like misdirected feeling and unsober feeling and, you know, whatever. I want to say other things about you, but I feel like you're gonna get mad.
You can say it.
I just feel like it also illuminates this pattern that we also have of like this army operates a place that you can look at them as like perps and dumb, and you can be a victim to like and resent them.
And I was just waiting for them to slip up, and they did.
So that you could do that or whatever.
They slipped up, so I was like, all right, now's my chance.
And like,
biding my time.
That whole thing was like a big hubbub, but we had, I think, like a really sober conversation right after the fact, after the dust had settled, where we both were like, okay, we're coming to this in good faith and like trying to figure out what our feelings are and why we're getting so crazed. Do you feel like that happened?
I think so.
Do you think we had like one might call a melt through in communication?
Somewhat, yeah, I think so. And then now, I think things have been going better since then, I guess.
I feel like we have been communicating a little better since then.
We have been communicating better, and we're both... At least now I know that if now in 6 months I don't get an understanding of what's happening, then I'll know that that's real. I felt upset for the last year about this subject, and I felt no closure with it, and just kind of confused, and that I didn't understand what was going on. Now I understand, and it's good to understand, because then things are more clear, and you can act accordingly. Based on clarity.
And so...
I was happy to... So I do feel clearer about things than I did. Because if my contract was ending, it was like I was operating under the assumption that my contract was ending as of last week. But I had no plan. I was like, they're going to either tell me to leave or they're going to give me another contract and with no notice. So I've been operating for the last 6 months thinking like... what's gonna happen, and that shows that I didn't like write down a plan. This is what's gonna happen on the day that I do or don't get my contract. I was kind of like, I guess I'm just gonna fucking wing it when it happens, and I don't think that's a very good quality that this revealed.
Yeah, and honestly, that's like in my head when I thought I was gonna deliver this information to him, and the way I can be really controlling in how I want people to react to information, or how I think I know the future about how someone's gonna react. In my head, I was like, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing right now. He just got 1 more year to figure his shit out, because at this point he has like nothing to say about what he's gonna do after this, and what like.
Yeah, but that's also missing something very important about men, and also missing something important about me, is that I didn't complete college. I didn't even really complete high school. I didn't complete, getting a record label given to me. I really haven't. I've started a few things in my life. I haven't completed that many things, and this was an opportunity, for better or for worse, to have completed one cycle of doing something and completed a contract term.
With all the bows tied.
With it being told a week until I was like done, I had completed something. Whether or not I was going to renew or not renew, I will have completed that thing. And I was like, a lot of clarity is going to come from me like completing that and moving on to another chapter. It was basically like, nope, you didn't complete that, and the chapter just became, we just added 1,000 pages onto it. So that was the main reason I was upset, I think, was that it was so different, like, from what I expected. And something I was really like looking forward to. Not that it was like, it was scary. I had a bunch of feelings about it. It wasn't, but I was looking forward to it. I was anxious for it to happen because it was something that hadn't really happened before, and I wanted to see what it was like on the other side of something happening like that. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and I was just going to say that I think part of the way that I am very controlling, because we're controlling in very different ways, and like what is that when I'm controlling in that way, it puts blinders on to like any kind of understanding of what you might have been feeling to react in a certain way, because I'm only thinking about like the outcomes that I want, or like you know, it just constricts understanding, basically. It constricts feelings. It wants to not really acknowledge feelings, the type of control I'm talking about, which makes sense with just bringing it back to the ways we were raised and our styles, our differences. Like, my style is way less emotional. It's way more emotional repression of a style. So I think that like I go all logic brain, and I'm like, well, this means you get more time and you don't have it figured out, so you would like this more time, without taking into the account the emotions, which he might take over board with the feelings of the emotions and the certain types of emotions.
I was raised more in an emotional outburst type.
And so then the emotional outburst happens, and it's a perfect time for me to then dissociate and shut down, because I just am not used to processing that, and at the time and speed too of whatever, being able to like spar in that field. Instead, I'm just like no, compute did not go the way I thought, and like, and then that's what happened. I just shut down and dissociated, and I was like in fight or flight mode, and I was not able to have a conversation with you. And I think that like going forward, I can also just be more communicative. Like, I'm in fight or flight mode right now because you just like flipped out at 12:30 a.m. when I was like in my sleepy times, and like I need to talk to you about this, or you know, say like enough just right then. Learn to just fucking say something instead of completely shutting down, and then when we're ready, we can both not be dissociating or over emoting and out of our like insobriety levels out of whack, and be able to communicate, which we got there.
Hey guys,
and it only took like 12 hours between the outbursts and the conversation.
We're improving.
You know, you just use your baby voice on the camera.
Not. Scrub that from the record. I don't fucking care. You know, if you're gonna see Slice of Life, you gotta see it, all the angles. Put it all on display.
Have you seen the clip that I've sent you to Twitter yet about the baby voice?
No.
The reason, I'm gonna just say the clip out loud because you haven't watched it yet, and it so relates to this. There was like a man and his girlfriend or wife, I don't know, they're in the kitchen, and she's warming up milk for his hot chocolate, and he starts using the most heinous baby voice. Like, he actually sounds like a baby. Like, he moves his voice, and he's like, he says the like craziest shit, and she's just like laughing at the craziness of it, and then it like pans out to their whole family behind them. It was funny. Anyways,
is it a real video or is it staged?
It's probably staged, but it's really funny. Like, they did it on purpose. Like, they're pretending they're in the room together alone, and then it's like that they've been subjecting their entire family to that.
Well, now the audience knows.
So.
And they can choose whether to like and subscribe or not, to unlike and unsubscribe.
Alright, so that was like. That was the redo.
Oh, we threw the trigger.
That was the redo of our like.
If only you could have seen if we get 1,000 likes on this video, we will release the dress rehearsal. I don't have authority to make promises, but you heard it from me. You know, it's her channel. She probably. Anyway, why not? 50-50. You might. 1,000 likes. I'm like, likes.
You're still in the like matrix.
Barely. Barely. Do I seem like a guy who cares about likes? Maybe a little bit. Not like some of our admiring fans out there who have like taken upon themselves to out themselves as social media whores.
Real whores for the social media.
That used to be me, bro. I used to really care, and now like the reason why I can look back on that, I'm not saying I don't still care a little bit, but I used to really care, like more than your average social media user.
And that's clear. And you know what? Just
you
maybe,
cared too little.
Yeah, I cared too little. I could have cared a little bit more. No, but like this is a great point of the program to take a pause and mention washing. One of the ways that we wash, because we're just so advanced and we've gone past just mere financial washing, we wash in every way, or we send in wash orders of any type. But no, I will say that some kind of washing that we do here is we've washed or sent in washes of any of our possibility of being liked and famous in the pain matrix or getting likes or social media clout. All of that was washed. So we are now coming to you uncool and 0 likes and incredibly known. I will just say that.
Yeah, we're in Times Magazine.
But 0 liked. Which is an impressive thing to actually accomplish, to get 0 likes but mentioned in the New York Times. The dichotomy. And that's just part of this pleasure matrix charm, you know? You don't know why we are on here every strong with it. We don't have the same priorities or goals if you've gathered.
So all of you brave likers out there, you're really taking a risk every time you hit a like button. Think twice before you like. I think that's what most people think, and I'm not even gonna say it's not true. It might be true.
You know, but we're getting a little off track. What I mean to say is this is a great time to mention that you should make a wash. You should send in a wash order. See what it feels like. You can send in financial wash orders at cash.me/washitall and paypal.me/washitall, or you can get in contact in the comments below, asking about crypto avenues to wash.
Crypto avenues.
And emails for
shady coin.
You know, not shady coin. Excuse me.
Shady coin, an actual coin?
I don't know.
That's the bad boy coin.
We do not accept it if that is a coin.
We don't accept shady coins.
I don't accept your shady coins that we try to deposit every day into the fucking merry-go-round that we're on.
Merry-go-round. The merry-go-round.
Oh my God.
She's punning and she doesn't even know it.
That's so
I'm
good.
just dropping shady coins in her merry-go-round.
All right. Anyways, back to the meat and potatoes. So like that's the process of this I would think this part Act 4 this Act 4 that we're in right now, where we're like recreating this contract craziness, we're revealing also, we revealed the lingering feelings today by going over this and, you know, having feelings. I feel angry still at you not reacting in the ways that I want you to.
Even when we started this live video.
What about you? What lingering feelings do you have?
Not as many after doing this video, imagine that.
Wow.
But lingering feelings. Yeah, I'm still a little disappointed that this chapter's not over. For better or for worse. I'm disappointed that for better or for worse, this chapter is not over and this chapter continues for another year.
What can we, like... Okay, first of all, I guess we kind of said a little bit of the symbolism of, like, what it means to have another year. But why do you think, in the grand scheme of the storylines, regardless of who we want to assign per victim status, what does it mean symbolically to you that this is like another year of this contract? That you got that information, how you got it, and that the mistake was made by the bottom brass who are infallible, you know?
I think they're actually unfallible. What does it mean for me?
Yeah.
What's this?
What's the symbolism?
I guess I'm not done, you know? Which, you know, if I was done right now, it'd be a pretty weird ending.
Yeah.
So I guess there's more. The story goes on. The last chapter is for you, Sam. The last pages in the book are for you, Sam. And you know what? Frodo leaves, and Sam stays, and Sam has like 14 children, one of which he names Frodo. And then he goes and gets to go to the Undying Lands and chill with his best friend. So, enough said. I think right?
Is that the symbolism? Nice answer. Wow.
I don't know. The symbolism is it's not over, and there's still, the Yahuwah has other plans for me than what plans I had for myself, basically. Enough said?
I mean, I was also going to say, and you got a nice solid helping of anger at DLA and thinking everyone's stupid, and finally getting a real mistake to say they're stupid about.
I had been waiting. They gave me one. As a little going away present. As a
staying around
as
another
a staying
year.
around present. Like, oh, yeah. I guess, because they could have easily enforced the contract. If it like gives me a little, warm and fuzzy that if at any time they wanted me to leave, they could have just said the contract clearly states that this is your last day, so bye-bye. But apparently they didn't, because they just like having me around so much. Imagine that.
Maybe
were you pleased? This is the real thing that I want to know. We haven't talked about this.
I forgot.
Were you happy?
I just had the symbol that I was trying to remember that came to me again. I think also there's a symbol of the general
they don't give a fuck.
No, the general just being like, I'm done with DLA. You guys take it over. Get out of here a year early. Oops. I made it kind of so that you would get out of here a year early, but you are here for another year.
I guess we have to hang out for a year. So were you happy to find out that a mistake had been made and that my contract wasn't coming to an end?
I was actually not exactly happy, because I knew, even though I had controlling ideas about how I wanted you to react, I think I deep down knew you would kind of freak out. And I had...
how long did you keep the information from me based on your fear? 6 months? I don't know.
I think that I felt happy that there was another year, because I was a little bit like, and it's not even like we're saying the year's up and we definitely are both out of here and done. It's just, it marks the end of a contract, and when if a new one is made, like if it's decided that we would get another contract.
Yeah, the contract renewal I would have gotten probably wouldn't have been very great.
For like where we made results from up until this point. So I was happy to get another year to have some more clarity and feeling like a real ending happened. It didn't feel like a real ending was happening. And like, I think I could pick up on that because it really wasn't a real ending happening. So yeah, I'm happy about the year left, and I think that it's trending. Our lives are trending in a better direction in terms of like professionally with where we're at, and personally, because it is all intertwined here. Like, kind of is. There's boundaries, and there should be immaculate boundaries, even if we make them less immaculate than they should be. But it also is like we grow here personally as we grow professionally, and they are connected. Does that make sense?
I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Does that make sense?
We could work on having better boundaries for sure.
Yeah. So the symbolism, I think I kind of talked about that a little bit, and how I feel, lingering feelings. But query you this. What part of do I feel like we wrapped all that part up?
Do we? Do you? So we don't even have boundaries. I said, do we?
That's
Are
bad.
you me?
Who's who?
Am I you?
Like, we have many times where we want to be victims of day life army because it's easy. Where you have so many examples of that in the past. If you can, any of our lore, people love going that route because it is easy, and millennials are very primed to be victims because it's easy. You don't have to be accountable. But like, what part of this reversal of fortunes story had us acting like victims? Because I think we did it in different areas. Do you want to? I'm going to take this one first.
Why don't you take it?
Because I was, in this specific instance, I was the victim in that I got to make a fuck up by sending him this information that was big information for him in the wrong time. outside of business hours, so into our personal time in the late of the night. And then I got to act victim to how he reacted to me doing that, like kind of goading him. I could then be like, he's yelling and like he's acting crazy and he won't stop talking to me when I'm trying to go to bed and being angry and like just like blaming me and putting all of his anger and emotions about the thing onto me personally, like I'm the one responsible. And like then it just like the fighting was not ending and I got to go into the like he doesn't have any boundaries, he won't like stop, and like he won't stop talking when I tell him to stop talking. And I think that like that was one portion of an area that I go into victimhood with, which is in our personal relationship. And it's a place that, you know, white women go into. It's just a trope. It's any kind of like moment in a personal romantic relationship, the white woman is going to like
make it about her.
Yeah, and it's like more specific than that. Yeah. It's like making it about her being a victim of something. Mm-hmm. Like whatever is happening and whatever role the white woman, played in it, it's like not focusing on those roles or that accountability. That would be the part where you're acting like an adult, like you're taking accountability for the areas where you made things possible or made an opening for something to happen, because it makes you get to be a victim, which, you know, I would say every single person in our generation and below is addicted to and has become programmed to want to be and see themselves as in their story, just in different ways. But that is exactly when you kind of take away your autonomy and ability to be an adult, when you go that route and you like fall for it. You fall for Satan's tricks. You're like, okay, I'm going to be the victim. I am the victim here. So what about you? What part in this story did you decide to be the victim?
I guess just in my whole, I think it's something I've already said, is like, whether consciously or not, I was like waiting for DLA to slip up so I could be like, aha, I told you that, you know, I'm a victim. I told you they're big meanies. I was like waiting for that to happen, and that was the delivery I got, and I was like, this is unfair, blah blah blah.
It allowed a lot of like of emotions that had perhaps been festering, would be the right word, maybe,
sure,
or lingering, whatever,
out.
That you got an excuse to express in some like inappropriate ways, because I think you did kind of come with some heat for them in some voice memos or something.
Yeah, I'm unclear on the voice memos exactly, but I think that was maybe unprofessional on my part.
So, you know, when you have a victim narrative or use an opportunity to be a victim or find one, whatever which way you have it, it's like many people do that and are bosses. Is that a good boss? Do you want that kind of boss? No, that'd be terrifying as a boss, really. And it is. It's where all the weirdness happens and all the
like Michael Scott
bullshit.
Michael Scott being like, does everyone in the office like me?
Yeah, and I think that like something we are learning before we have to be big time feeding other people, because we talk about feeders and followers rather than leaders and followers here.
Just to be clear, yeah, we're not talking about literally
feeders,
feeding people.
Yeah, but we as feeders cannot go into those victim narratives and be feeders here. It's inappropriate and it won't work. So we don't get those opportunities to be feeders until we really sort this shit out, which I think is what we're learning right now. Mm-hmm. And we are definitely followers still. We follow our generals, on a good day, we listen to and follow our creator. You know, on a good day, we listen and follow to Wiko. But the more we like learn how to do that with grace and without falling into our patterns of victimhood, we'll be able to be adults, which would be a better experience in life, just being more adult. But we'll be able to be better. We'll have better opportunities, and we won't like be crazy with the opportunities we do get. I mean, do you want to be in charge of or manage other people?
I'm conflicted on it. I mean, I recognize it's probably the only way to. It's for different reasons than maybe is what they should be, but for me, I feel like it's the only way to like get away from the work that I don't want to do, which I don't think is like the reason that it should be. I don't feel like a legitimate like huge drive to like lead people. But I certainly would like someone else to be doing my job, so I don't necessarily think that's the right motivation, but that's currently where I've been at.
Yeah.
And I'm not that enthusiastic about the idea of leading others.
It's like, I think it's tied into the everyone becoming programmed to be victims and like kind of never growing up kind of thing. That's everyone below 50 or 40, it seems, is almost under that kind of thing. But I think that's very much tied into like no one wants to be a manager or boss or lead other people nowadays. And I think we have a lot of that lingering and those attitudes still in us. But I think mine is a little different reasoning. Like, I think I am afraid of, and this is probably why like the people we do manage or the people we are like, we don't have the season of DLA that we're in right now is not like a ton of soldiers that we're like IRL handling, you know, and being, because I don't think we're ready, and we would not, our creator would not deliver us these opportunities if it was, unless it was something that would work or where we could handle or like, and I don't think we also don't like want it, and so we like kick in the teeth any opportunity for it to happen. But I think like for me, I'm afraid of being out of control at that level of being responsible for someone else, and like it pushes up against my control issues a lot. People act crazy. They can do whatever you want. You don't know what they're gonna do. Like,
I know. What if there's a bunch of hot women running around?
I don't even know how I'd be able to not be a fucking simp, basically. And I manage him, but like that's another thing about us making this army just like our personal army of like our relationship. Like, there's other stuff going on. There's a lot more, and some of it we don't even fucking know about.
I know very little.
And he knows less than me. But the parts that we interact with and do a lot every day are just like things that have to do with our relationship, professional and personal, and all the in-betweens. Because that's kind of where we are at, and a little bit stuck at times before, and you know, we can, until we get through things, which I would hope we're getting through in this time together, in this Act 4 of our Reversal of Fortunes.
Act 4, Part 5. Next week is Part 6, where we go back into Act 1. And
that's how I am a little bit.
I don't know.
A little bit wonky with getting into timelines and stuff.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you whenever we see you, I guess, next Strong. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Take care.